Sometimes the biggest things, the really global things, they start small, really small.
Absolutely.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something huge, cricket, one of the world's most popular sports.
Hmm.
And using that Google Keep document you shared, our sort of mission here is to figure out how this simple bat and ball game played by kids, centuries ago in rural England, how did it become this massive global thing?
It's a fantastic story. And when you look right back, 16th century,
Right.
it's incredibly humble.
Right.
We're literally talking about children. Southeast England, counties like Kent, Sussex, out in the countryside, hitting a ball around with a basic stick.
Just kids playing.
Exactly. Pure pastime, nothing formal. And even the name cricket, your document points us out, it might give us a clue.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly from the Old English krice, which meant like a crutch or a staff.
Ah, okay. Like the bat.
Sort of suggests the equipment was, well, pretty basic, rudimentary, just like the game itself back then.
That etymology, it really paints a picture. But okay, so kids are playing with a staff. How does that become, a proper sport for adults? What happens next, moving into the 17th century?
Well, it just starts catching on. It wasn't just for kids anymore.
Okay.
Adults, particularly farmers, villagers, they start playing it more, maybe, after work in their spare time. Cricket was spirited, a good outlet.
Right, a bit of fun after a long day.
Pretty much. And it probably wasn't like a sudden switch, more of a gradual thing. These informal games just get more popular. Communities start challenging each other.
So village versus village.
Exactly. That's where you see the first local clubs starting to form. And those early matches, they got quite competitive. It wasn't just play. It started to build like a community identity.
Okay, so village rivalries, local clubs.
Mm.
Now let's jump forward. 18th century. This is when cricket really takes off as England's national sport, right? Big changes happening now.
Oh, absolutely. This period was foundational. But the single biggest game changer,
What was it?
definitely the Marylebone Cricket Club, the MCC, founded in London, 1787.
Okay, the MCC, still a huge name today.
A huge name. And back then, they weren't just another club. They basically became the authority. They took all those slightly different village rules and standardized them, codified them.
So everyone played the same way.
Yes, that was crucial. It created one single unified sport out of all these local variations. That standardization, well, it allowed cricket to grow beyond just villages. It set the stage for everything that came next.
And what came next was massive. The
Yeah.
19th century cricket goes global.
It really does. And it's tied up intrinsically with the British Empire.
Right, colonists taking it with them.
Exactly. As Brits moved around the world, they introduced cricket. India, Australia, South Africa, the West Indies.
Right, caught on.
Amazingly quickly. And what's fascinating is in these new places, it became more than just a sport they learned from the British. It turned into, a real passion, a symbol of their own identity, woven into the culture.
It took on a life of its own in each place.
Absolutely. Each region added its own kind of flavor, its own spirit to the game.
And you really see that legacy today. Cricket now have all these different formats. You've got the long test matches, days long, real tests of endurance,
The classic form.
then the quicker one-day internationals, ODIs, and now the really fast, explosive T20 games.
Yeah, designed for maximum action, broader appeal.
It just keeps evolving, but it still connects people all across the globe, from tiny village greens to these enormous international stadiums.
So, yeah, looking back across this whole journey we've discussed, cricket starting as this simple kids game in rural England hundreds of years ago and becoming this global sport, it really shows you something powerful, doesn't it?
What's the main takeaway for you?
I think it just powerfully illustrates how sports can do so much more than just, determine a winner. They connect cultures, they build communities, they inspire whole generations. It's quite profound how something so simple can end up meaning so much.
It really is something to think about. Just consider that. A simple pastime, stick in a ball, centuries ago. How does something like that evolve to carry such deep cultural weight and actually unite incredibly diverse people across entire continents? It makes you wonder, what other everyday things around us might be on a similar path? Just maybe. A bit slower.